Good morning. Waiting on a few people to get on, and then we will go ahead and get started. Give everyone a couple minutes to get logged on before we go ahead and get started. Hey, Reagan. Hey, Wes. Elijah. Whew. All right, so we left off where Jacob found those pair of shoes. Well, he found one shoe, and the next day he found the other. And we left off where he was able to communicate to John and Marta that those were indeed his shoes. So, excuse me, chapter 36. On the day the boy found the second shoe, after they'd eaten their sandwiches at the beach, and after the boy and the beagle had run through the pass, John steered the truck down a road that he guessed would lead them around the far side of the lake. It would be a longer route home, but the sun had come out and the air was fresh, a perfect day for a drive along a country road. It was on this day that the boy, who had been studying the second shoe as he sat between John and Marta with the beagle at his feet, suddenly slapped the shoe against the dashboard. He lunged for the window at Marta's side and leaned out, his head turning this way and that way. Marta grasped the boy tightly. "Don't do that. Whatever you are, stop. You're going to fall out. John, stop this truck." John pulled to the side of the road and had barely stopped the truck when the boy jumped out, tugging at Marta's sleeve. The beagle, picking up on the boy's agitation, ran in circles around the trio, shaking its head, pawing at the boy's leg. "What happened?" John asked. "Did something bite him? Did he cut himself? What's the—" Marta was standing as still as a fence post. John followed her gaze. In the distance was a shabby trailer surrounded by rusted bits of metal. At one end was a tall, narrow tree, its trunk painted blue, and from it hung a swing. The boy gripped Marta's hand as she and John remained standing by the side of the road, unable to move. "Do you know this place, Jacob?" Marta asked. "Do you? Why, you're trembling." The boy backed toward the truck. "John, let's go. I don't like this. Jacob doesn't like this." "Get in the truck. Wait for me," John said, and he headed off toward the trailer to investigate. In the truck, Jacob slipped to the floor and hid his head in his hands. Marta locked the doors and strained to follow John's movements. So, obviously, Jacob recognizes this place, but he's shaking and he's very, very scared. The trailer was abandoned, inhabited only by squirrels. Leaves, dirt, and tattered bits of clothing littered the damp, dark rooms. Cobwebs clouded the windows, and dirty pots filled the sink. John retrieved a worn, soiled stuffed toy, a rabbit, and returned to the truck. When John offered the stuffed animal to the boy scowled, snatched the rabbit, and threw it out the window. With his fist, he pounded on the dashboard and shook his head back and forth. John and Marta had never seen him so agitated, and they drove home silent and shaken. So they found this abandoned trailer that did have like a stuffed animal in it and some old clothes, but there were squirrels living in there. There were cobwebs. It was very, excuse me. It did not look like a place that that someone should be living. And obviously Jacob recognizes it and he feels some type of way about it. And he threw the stuffed animal rabbit out the window that John gave him. They remained silent as they walked up to the pasture and barn to feed the animals. The cows and the goats murmured greetings and swung their heads this way and that, puzzled. The beagle rubbed up against each of the animals, communicating his own confusion. Something is different, the dog seemed to be saying. The knowledge circulated among the animals. Something is different. Something has changed. That night, John said to his wife, "The sheriff might be able to investigate more." Marta did not answer. Instead, she got up and went to check on the boy, who was sound asleep with the beagle curled beside him. Chapter 37. They considered moving. They'd take Jacob, of course, and the dog, but they'd sell the other animals in the house and make a new start somewhere else. No one would be asking questions about the boy. They would assume he belonged to us, and we could just go on with our lives and everyone would be happy. But the people, if they came back, does it look like they're coming back? No, but they might. And if they did come back and we weren't here, they might call the sheriff. And what about a birth certificate? Is he going to need one of those? Lots of people can't find their birth certificates. But, and round they went. Should we stay or should we go? So now John and Marta are deciding if they should sell their house and start over with Jacob. But they're saying, what if the people come back for him and they're not there? Chapter 38. They stayed. And the days went on as before. And when September came, John met with the sheriff and explained that the people had not returned for the boy, and they wanted to arrange legal custody of Jacob. Well, now that might take some time, the sheriff said. Up at the county courthouse, things move slow as a turtle in quicksand. We could get the welfare people out here, but nah, that department is a mess. You best hold on to the boy for the time being and see if those people show up. I guess as long as the boy don't mind being with you. When John told the sheriff about the abandoned trailer, the sheriff promised to investigate. At the schoolhouse, John was told that it might be better to wait until January to see about enrolling the boy, when they were better staffed. They did not know what to do with a child who did not speak. But he's very talented, John said, and he can draw. Well, all kids can draw. In music, he's very talented in music too. All parents think that about their kids. That afternoon, John, Marta, and Jacob drove out to an orchard and picked a bushel of ripe red apples. And while the sun was shining down on them, as they munched on the fruit, and as the beagle ran in and out of the boys' legs, back at their farmhouse, several miles away, an old car pulled into their driveway. A car door slammed shut. Hello, hello. So someone has knocked on John and Marta's door. Chapter 39. As soon as John and Marta saw the old car in their drive, they sensed the dark cloud that was about to descend upon them. Jacob slid to the floor and clutched Marta's ankle. A man leaned against the fence. He was thin and pale, in baggy, faded clothes. Marta, stay in the truck with Jacob, John said. The thin man said what John and Marta had most dreaded. I've come for the boy. Chapter 40. Wes asked how many chapters there were. This is all we have left in our book, this little tiny bit right here. Chapter 40. I'm his father, and I've come for him, the man said. John turned to Jacob. Is this your father? Jacob nodded and then tentatively tapped at his father's arm. No, was his father's reply. We're going now. Jacob did not appear afraid of his father, but it was clear he also didn't want to leave. He clung to Marta. But where will you take him? Marta asked. The man named a town 300 miles away, where he'd found work and a place to live. We could keep the boy for you, John offered. Keep him? What do you mean, keep him? He's my boy, and I'll do the keeping. I mean, in case you need more time, or if it would be too hard for you to have the boy, or I can do just fine. I never said nothing about you keeping the boy. I never did. Well, you didn't say much at all. We didn't know who you were, or when, or if you'd even come back. I said I was coming back. John pressed the man. You said we. Why'd you say we? Who else? I didn't know it'd just be me. His mom, she ran off. Jacob's head bent to his chest. But why here? Why us? You don't remember me? He asked John. I worked up at Vernie Gossom's for a time when you was working on his place. I don't remember. Vernie said you was a good man, that you had a good wife too. That's all you knew about us? And you left your boy here? A second car pulled into the driveway. What's that sheriff doing here? The man said. He crossed his arms and spit to one side. For once, both Marta and John were relieved to see the sheriff's car. The sheriff slid slowly out of his seat, gave his badge a firm rub, and said, Saw a strange car up here, out-of-state plates. He eyed the man leaning against the old car. He says he's the boy's father, John explained. The sheriff rested one hand on his gun in his holster. That's so. The man did not flinch. Yeah, that's so. I'm his father, and I've come to take him. The sheriff rubbed his chin. And how do we know you're telling the truth? What? Why, heck, ask him. Ask the boy. The boy doesn't talk, the sheriff said. He cannot. Ask him. So the sheriff asked Jacob if this was his father, and Jacob nodded and then lowered his head again and tightened his grasp of Marta's hand. John stepped forward. You got any proof? Any papers? Yeah, the sheriff agreed. You got any papers? What? John said. A real father wouldn't want me releasing his boy to just anybody, not without some sort of proof. The man slapped the side of his car. Proof? That's ridiculous. He kicked the tire, then spun around. Wait a minute. You just wait a minute. The man unlocked the trunk, revealing a crammed jumble of clothes and boxes and bulging trash bags. He burrowed into the pile like a rat on a hunt. The sheriff motioned for John, Marta, and the boy to step away. What are you looking for? The sheriff demanded. Proof. I've got proof. You better not be looking for any guns. The man mumbled as he burrowed further into the heap. Lucky thing I'm moving and got all my stuff with me. The boy inched forward, curious. John and Marta exchanged a desperate look. Here, the man said, backing out of the trunk with a tattered cardboard box in his hands. He fumbled through the yellow bits of paper. There you go, he said triumphantly, shoving a creased document toward the sheriff. Proof enough? He dug in his pocket. And here's some more. He pulled out his driver's license. To prove I'm me. John and Marta joined the sheriff in examining the first document. Well, this does look like a valid birth certificate for the boy, the sheriff said. Marta could not remain silent. We've given him a good home. Jacob is happy here. We can care for him, feed him, clothe him, and look after him the way he should be looked after. Are you telling me I don't know how to look after my own boy? Because I'm telling you, it don't matter what you think. He's my boy. John whirled toward the sheriff. What can we do? The sheriff studied the man, the boy, and the papers in his hand. Well, now the way I see it, you don't have much choice. I'm sorry to say. The man is his father, and a father has a right to his boy, don't he? But the sheriff returned to his own car. Don't he? He repeated. As Jacob trailed behind, Marta and John gathered his things. When the father saw the guitar, drums, box of paint supplies, he said, "He don't need all that, and I don't have room for any of it." Jacob clutched the guitar, refusing to release it. "Please let him take it," Marta urged. "He's so talented." The man snorted. "You making fun of my boy because he can't talk?" No, no. I meant his drawings, his music. Lord Almighty, woman, that stuff ain't going to do him any good in this world. May we write to him? May we see him again? Sure, the man said. Sure, look, he can take the guitar, okay? Probably won't last a week, but sure. So Jacob went with his father. His head was bowed, his shoulders were slumped, but he did not cry. Up in the pasture, the animals sensed the change in the air. The cows hung their heads, the goats muttered sadly, and the beagle wove in and out between their legs, passing along the news. The boy is gone. The boy is gone. All right. We are going to stop there. I will see you in just a couple minutes on Zoom. Check your Canvas inbox for the link. See y'all soon. Bye.